It was supposed to be an ordinary Tuesday evening in the quiet suburb of Maplewood. Families were finishing dinner, children doing homework, dogs barking in backyards. At 8:43 p.m., the calm shattered. A 911 call reported masked intruders breaking into the home of a local pharmacist. Within minutes, what began as a burglary spiraled into a tragedy that would shake the entire community. The most haunting twist? The suspects weren't hardened criminals. They were kids, 3 teenagers, none older than 16. The offenders were Marcus Hill, 16, Darren Lewis, 15, and Kyle KJ Johnson, 14. On the surface, they were ordinary boys, students who played basketball, laughed at video games, and posted on social media. But beneath that, each carried burdens. Marcus lived with an absent father and an overworked mother. Darren was pulled into petty theft by older cousins. KJ, the youngest, was desperate to fit in anywhere. That night, they weren't planning a murder. They wanted quick money, cash, maybe prescription drugs, something they could resell. Marcus had heard from a friend that the pharmacist, Robert Fields, kept cash in a safe. They wore hoodies and masks. They carried a BB gun, meant to scare, not to kill. But once inside the Fields' home, everything unraveled. First, it went as planned. They slipped in through a back window, whispering nervously. Darren grabbed jewelry from a dresser. Marcus searched for the safe. Then came the sound that changed everything. A stair creak. Robert Fields, awakened, came face to face with the masked boys. Shock turned to rage. He grabbed a baseball bat. In the confusion, Marcus raised the BB gun, thinking it would scare him into backing off. But Robert lunged. Darren panicked, shoving him hard. The bat swung wildly, connecting with KJ's shoulder. KJ screamed, and in the chaos, Marcus fired. The crack of the pellet gun should have been harmless, but at that range, it struck Robert in the eye. He stumbled, fell backward, and hit his head on the corner of a table. Silence fell. Robert Fields wasn't moving. The boys bolted, hearts pounding. They ditched their masks in a storm drain, ran until their lungs burned, and swore never to speak of it again. But the damage was done. Robert Fields was found by his wife minutes later. Though alive, he was in a coma from the head trauma. The police found the masks, fingerprints on the jewelry box, and most damning, a shoe print in the mud outside the window that matched Marcus's sneakers. Detectives pieced the puzzle quickly. Within a week, all 3 boys were arrested at their homes. Neighbors watched in shock as handcuffed teenagers were led into squad cars. Parents wept. Teachers whispered. The community asked the same question. How could children do this? The trial was tense. Because of the severity of the crime, prosecutors sought to try Marcus and Darren as adults. KJ, only 14, faced juvenile court but was named in the case. The prosecution painted them as predators. They broke into a man's home, armed and masked. They knew what they were doing. The defense fought back, emphasizing their youth, their immaturity, their lack of intent to kill. Marcus's lawyer argued. He brought a BB gun, not a firearm. These were children chasing foolish rumors of easy money. They never meant for this to happen. The most gut-wrenching moment came when KJ testified. His small frame looked out of place in the courtroom. Tears streamed down his face as he described the chaos of that night. His voice breaking as he said, "I thought we were just gonna scare him. I didn't think he'd get hurt." Robert Fields never woke from his coma. He died 6 months later, turning the charges into felony murder. Marcus Hill, 16, was sentenced to 25 years in adult prison. Darren Lewis received 20. KJ, tried as a juvenile, was sent to a rehabilitation facility until age 21. The courtroom wept when the sentences were read, not just for the victim, but for the wasted potential of 3 boys who should have been in classrooms, not prison cells. Maplewood never looked the same again. Parents locked doors earlier. Teachers spoke in hushed tones about those boys. For Robert's family, justice felt hollow. Nothing brought him back. For Marcus, Darren, and KJ, prison became their new reality. Letters from home spoke of forgiveness, of second chances, but also of regret too heavy for their young shoulders. And for the community, the tragedy stood as a grim reminder. Sometimes, the most frightening crimes don't come from strangers in the dark, but from children who lost their way.